A difference of opinion between Whatcom County and the Lummi Indian Business Council over the renewal of a lease agreement for the Lummi Island ferry dock at Gooseberry Point affects the roughly 1,200 residents of Lummi Island who find themselves caught in the middle. It's just after 8 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. These cars have come across from Lummi Island and are disembarking the ferry boat, the Whatcom Chief, as they drive on to the dock at Gooseberry Point, located on the Lummi Indian Reservation. Most of the island commuters have jobs in Whatcom County and are now on their way to work. Hale Passage is the mile-wide body of water that separates the island from the mainland. But the waters around Lummi Island can be treacherous, and on this day, island residents have little choice but to cross by ferry, as their own small craft, if they even have them, would be fighting sustained winds of 40 knots, in addition to the swift tidal currents and heavy rain. The Islander is the lone general store on Lummi Island. It's a central gathering place for friends and family to catch up on island news, gossip, and events. Lately, however, the main topic of discussion is about the ferry service to the mainland, which may soon be dramatically altered or even discontinued.
The ferry represents our ability to live our normal daily lives. Without the ferry, many people on this island would have to move off. In fact, many people have already started to put up their houses for sale. They are unable to obtain loans. It's affected the community in drastic ways. We have school children who need to go to school in Ferndale. How are they going to get to school? People need to get to their jobs. Without the ferry, the community as we know it is going to cease.
Facing the very real possibility that their one lifeline to the mainland will be cut, island residents find themselves in a desperate position between Whatcom County, which maintains the ferry service, and Lummi Nation, who owns the property and dock on the mainland side of the crossing. The two governments are far apart on a lease agreement proposal, leaving the islanders in a predicament with little recourse other than to try and influence the decision-making process through lobbying efforts. Of primary concern to islanders are health and safety issues. Without the ferry, medical patients would need to be airlifted to a hospital. Also, fire and disaster response would be limited to the one fire hall and local volunteers.
We're Whatcom County Fire District 11. Most of our calls are emergency medical services, and the ferry is important because it allows for rapid transport of basic life support and advanced life support patients to St. Joseph's Hospital.
One option that's been considered in the past is to have the Whatcom Chief cross over to Bellingham instead of Gooseberry Point, a much longer trip. Jerry Anderson knows these waters and has been an island resident for 51 years. He's worked as a reef net fisherman for 57 years, and on this day, the weather was too rough for the crews to work the reef nets, even though the sockeye fishing was good. Jerry says that if the Whatcom Chief had to cross to Bellingham on a day like this, there would be problems.
In a day like today, there's no chance at all that the Whatcom Chief could make it to Bellingham. I have no question about that. It wouldn't be able to do it. Number one, the Coast Guard wouldn't even allow it. There's too much of a safety matter involved in something like that. We've always been part of Whatcom County. We aren't independent in any respect. We rely on all the Whatcom County services for everything we do. We don't have any law enforcement over here. We don't have any medical facilities over here. Everybody goes to the mainland. In my own case, I'm 77 years old, and quick accessibility to medical treatment is imperative. If the ferry had to go to Fairhaven and couldn't run such days, there would be no alternative for me. I would have to move off the island.
Island life is not for everyone. There are many challenges that face the residents every day. Even so, many people are attracted to the alternative lifestyle. The main fear is that if the ferry service were to go away, only those of independent means would remain living on the island.
I think the most at-risk segment of our community here is the middle-class working people, because we do have commuters who go into town. We also have people who work here. We have an artist community, which is much more self-sufficient. We have retired people who don't have to go in every day. But the ferry crisis will cut the middle of our community out, I believe.
Island property owners are worried about an uncertain future where they would realize a loss on their investments as a consequence of reduced ferry service, a major increase in fares, or discontinuation of the ferry altogether.
The financial impact of the loss of ferry would be enormous. First, property values have already started to lower because people are unable to get mortgages or loans on their property. Properties are not selling because no one wants to buy a home if transportation is uncertain. Many of the businesses, including the one that we're here in now, the Islander, would go under because they depend on the seasonal tourist traffic in the summer to make their business work. People would find themselves unable to go to work, and of course they would have to move to the mainland and take a loss on their home. So there's drastic economic results if the ferry goes away as we know it.
Current negotiations between the county and tribal governments are now at an impasse. We asked residents what they think the best win-win solution would be.
My hopes for the best resolution are regular, safe ferry service to Gooseberry Point to continue. Hopefully we'll get some help from federal representatives, from someone to encourage the two parties to finish and go to mediation and get this done.
You can find out more at plicferry.org.